You don't need to fix anything right now. If you're listening to this, there's a good chance you're already tired of trying to hold yourself together, tired of pushing, tired of telling yourself to be more disciplined, more focused, more consistent, and maybe part of you feels confused because you know what you're supposed to do. You've read the books, you've heard the advice. So why does it feel harder now than it ever did before? Why does self-discipline, the thing everyone says is the answer, feel completely unavailable when you need it most? Let's slow this down together, because what you're experiencing isn't a lack of character, it isn't laziness, and it isn't some hidden flaw you haven't uncovered yet. It's something much simpler and much more human. You might notice it shows up like this. You wake up already behind, even if the day hasn't started yet. You make plans in your head, but your body doesn't move, or it moves slowly, reluctantly. You procrastinate, then feel guilty. You rest, but don't feel rested. You push yourself, but nothing seems to click. And underneath all of that, there's a quiet fear you don't say out loud. What if this is just who I am now? What if I've lost my edge? What if everyone else is moving forward and I'm stuck here? Those thoughts can feel heavy and isolating. But here's the part most people never explain. Self-discipline doesn't disappear under stress because you're weak. It disappears because your nervous system is overwhelmed. When stress stays high for too long, deadlines, financial pressure, emotional strain, constant comparison, your body shifts into protection mode, not motivation mode, not growth mode. Protection in that state. Your system isn't asking, how do we improve? It's asking, how do we survive this? So focus narrows, energy drops. Tasks that once felt manageable start to feel threatening, not logically threatening, emotionally threatening. Your brain starts treating everyday demands like potential danger. And when that happens, discipline isn't the priority. Safety is. This is why forcing yourself doesn't work the way it used to. Not because you don't care, but because your system is already working overtime just to stay afloat. Procrastination, avoidance, numbness, these aren't failures. They're signals. They're your nervous system saying, this is too much right now. I need less pressure, not more. And the shame you feel about it, that often comes from misunderstanding what's happening inside you. We're taught that discipline is a moral quality, that if we just tried harder, we'd be fine. But discipline is actually a resource. And like any resource, it drains under constant stress. You don't blame a phone for running out of battery after a long day. You don't shame it. You recharge it. Yet with ourselves, we do the opposite. We criticize. We compare. We tighten the pressure, and that pressure keeps the nervous system stuck. Here's something important to hear. The part of you that's struggling isn't broken. It's trying to protect you. When you avoid a task, it's often because your system associates it with overwhelm, judgment, or failure. So it delays. It hesitates. That's not weakness. That's self-preservation. And once you see it that way, something softens. You stop fighting yourself so aggressively. You stop demanding energy you don't currently have. And paradoxically, that's when clarity begins to return. Because discipline doesn't come from pressure. It comes from safety. When your system feels calmer, decisions become simpler. When shame drops, Motivation has room to breathe. This doesn't mean you give up on yourself. It means you change the relationship. Instead of asking, "Why can't I force myself?" the question becomes, "What does my system need so this feels less threatening?" Often, just understanding this is enough to reduce the weight you're carrying. You're not behind because you're irresponsible. You're tired because you've been carrying too much for too long. And the fact that you're still here, still thinking, still wanting things to be different, that matters. Progress doesn't always look like action. Sometimes it looks like allowing your body to come out of defense mode. Sometimes it looks like not adding another rule, not adding another expectation, just giving yourself permission to exist without performing for a moment. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to justify slowing down. Rest isn't a reward for discipline. It's a condition for it. And when your system begins to feel even slightly safer, you'll notice something subtle. Thoughts organize themselves again. Decisions feel less heavy. Small movements start to feel possible, not because you forced them, but because the pressure lifted enough for your natural motivation to resurface. You haven't lost your ability to focus. It's just been buried under stress. You haven't become someone else. You're still you, responding intelligently to a demanding environment, and you're allowed to move at a pace that respects that. There's no race happening here. No invisible clock you're failing to beat. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to recover. You're allowed to trust that your energy will return when it's not being threatened. For now, it's enough to understand what's happening, to stop blaming yourself, to let your system know it doesn't have to fight anymore. Nothing needs to be decided tonight. Nothing needs to be proven. Just let this land. You're not falling behind. You're recalibrating. And that's not failure, it's intelligence.